Why that really the new Chiro Kangalolo, the Nitashi Dele, the word Kiwayo.
So today I would like to wish all of my friends greetings, Tashi Dele, and I hope that all of you are well, and I hope that all of you are happy.
Ane tayo triti to do the Nanganzo. Damasin, Itanin to the Kachamukanis Tokare, Tani, and Yola Kandis Chekare, Srawa, Lojuka Chekare, Tatiko, Tanete.
So today in this short time, I would like to explain a little bit about how to make our life meaningful, how to proceed in our life, how to practice the teachings, and how to study the teachings.
Ane Kachimboji, Tanarosu, Ane Karasakari, Ichi Demboche Chuya, Hakosarawas, Ane Sujini Badunda, Hakosarawa, Ota, Nomaling, Lojata Momiala, Ane Paditawa Drapa, Senator Karachimboji Pevares.
So then, just briefly, I would like to talk about a great being in whom we can have great faith and great confidence. A great being who is almost like a second Buddha. And that great being who came to this world hundreds of years ago was known as the glorious Chandrakirti.
Ane Oda Lama Korogitani, Karsekaro, Pagetawa Davasana Modesons, Ninete, Kandisivarsana. Ane Marusutta, Madudas, suggested to say now, Kanga Tekitawa, that's a Mariba, said never in the Tekitawa de Hakasara, King Yovate, and in Jome Ronget and Lamasongapal. Also below GRS.
And so then, in terms of what he taught, it was an understanding that indeed what harms us, what harms any human being, what harms any sentient being, this is something that is rooted really in the ignorance grasping at the self. And the way to solve these problems and difficulties is to address this ignorance grasping at the self. And we can rely on the scriptures of Chandrakirti as Manjushri explained to Lama Tsongkhapa.
Otangaroso chill hill and Melekachamare, Maden, then Medu to do my Kajawamare, Akosarawa, send you so to see in Ayo. Akosarawa, call the Vicar Sekaro, Kangajikite, Lazamariba, Assassin, Yenes, Matuni Tanipe, your Tachiares, no that no interior mat, Shalun interior mares.
So then, in terms of what we need to understand, whether we are a Buddhist believer or not, in terms of what is keeping us in samsara, in terms of what is keeping all sentient beings in samsara, it is this ignorance that is grasping at the self. So we understand that to solve our problems, it is not something on the outside that we need to deal with, it is something on the inside.
Hakosarawa, so that you are the Kanga, Tawada, what then Aruso said, Noloria, Madu, Choloria, Mares, Stojide.
And the main thing here is that this problem, this ignorance grasping at the self, that is something that is within our mind, a fundamental way of thinking that is within our mind. It's not some sort of outside presence.
Hakosarawa, so that say Korodo Halevia, but Akijam washes Harinazo, Rojigesa, Pita Potsuma, Halevitani, Yabuja, and the Koroso Canela. Hakosara Mariba Momo, Chitati, the Yondol, the Condola, so Momochi Canela, Tengaro Sego, Netting in it, Toyo.
So then, as I've mentioned before, in terms of the true nature of our mind, it is a pure luminosity. However, it is obscured, it is covered by the defilements, by ignorance and the associated afflictions like anger, attachment, and so forth.
Hakosarawa, so that is the Richie, that is the Richie is at Kangadunga Maritan, and Tunan Kachimbo, Silenella, Ane, but the water of Sula, Tene, Omanjuba, Saxon, Halevi Kachimbo, Tunan see Kachimbo Kashi, Kashinganzo, and Sitene, and the Embojin, past watching the Shijata, and it was.
So then, in terms of being able to explain these teachings, then I would like to explain something using the words, using the speech of the glorious Chandrakirti. And it won't be possible to explain all of the treaties, but I would like to look at some of his most important verses and base some of my explanation on that.
Hakosarawa, so that see you in a city in Minjang and let them Mukita, Pinya, this is in Volkachimores, and Sakosarawa, said to Malebada, 아니 지요는 빼나 못하이나 콜로실라 되는 이면이 고 그거도 내가 체크도 왔어 못하이나 이제 다 그러면 가르도 된이나 콜로시니면 콜로를 떼고도 왔어 어다 되는 거 알아서 보게 로주도 녀래 아버지 용하셔 봐라 시시워지도 땜보지요나 아니 그거게 가리나 좀 더 한번 나와지 말이스.
So I will try to do this in a very stable and clear way. Sorry, a piece I forgot from the first part. But in terms of why it is important to rely upon the words of great masters, why it is important to look at the words and examples, it's because especially as a beginner, we need some sort of foundation. So just as a car needs wheels to travel from one place to another on the road, similarly, as beginners, we need to rely on the words, on the scriptures of realized beings, so that we can journey in our study and practice well.
다 조지된 안도 강가로 시월에 되어래. 뉴트릭 조지데 아니 나는 뒤에서 그는 다 컨트롤해야 돼. 조지래 되어래. 다 드리디고 아니 내가 지도 되는 말이지.
And so then if we look at the situation rationally, we can see very clearly that in terms of what is causing problems to ourselves and also to others, it is none other than these three poisons. And out of these three poisons, one of them is anger. And so I'd like to explain one of Chandrakirti's verses speaking about anger today. And so this is a verse that is easy to understand. It is a verse that is useful whether we are a person who believes in Dharma or not. It is a verse that is scientific in terms of what it is explaining. So therefore it is beneficial for all.
어다 베게시기나는 예 베게시자 그래 인지게 돈을 돈을 오니 로베 인지게 자리 저기와 이제 된대표도지 된대 용식을
And so by explaining these verses and reciting them, I will recite them in Tibetan. So for those of you who are listening in Tibetan, it will bring you benefit. And then my friend, he will translate these into English as well. So those of you who are listening in English will benefit, and it will bring something to everyone.
어다 슐로가지 가시 뭐 간데스 요아르세나 네바시비 가테 데케나 델라케비 슈스 두고죠 디시르 데케니 반데 데메 이데 바로 요는 가완죠 어다 디시데
So then Geshe is reciting the verse from the jug-pa, the Madhyamakāvatāra, or entering the middle way of Chandrakirti. And the translation of the verse goes like this: If you take revenge upon having been harmed, how can this reverse the harm done? Accordingly, revenge is useless for this life and counterproductive with regard to the next.
어당년에 도파게 도노테기는 치돈데미마 도노테로체나 실라주지야나 치데지 할레비실라 쳔모레스 가시모레스.
And also, Geshe is just explaining that if you pay careful attention to these words, not only do they have great meaning, but they also carry great blessing for the mind.
어다 쪼디 슐로가지 미 가르슨 거 요아르세나 컨트롤 니에미 하고 살아와서 컨트롤 해야 될 때는 레트는 배도 매봐 하고 살아와 첸들 배도 매봐 시와시만 배도 매봐 지리자가 요아레스.
So what is this verse explaining? This verse is explaining the faults of anger. So if we give an answer, in other words, if we take revenge for harm done to us, it is not going to bring us benefits in the current lifetime, and it won't bring us benefits in the future lifetime either.
어당 아주 야 가와이나 지바레 하고 살아 뭐 누가 가와이나 나온다고래 아니 내가 제주 간데스 이나요 지 내가 제주 간데스 때바 이나요 될봐 레다다 지바 때마도나 로마 대왕하고 소하지 너는 뭐 멋지게 이거 알아야지.
So if you look at many places in the world, really in many different various countries, you can see that we have this idea that if someone harms us, if someone abuses us, if we aren't able to give an answer to that harm and abuse, in other words, if we aren't able to take revenge, then there is a sort of unsettledness, a dissatisfaction that arises in the mind.
다치 동문이들 가르친 거 알았잖아. 내가 시비 뭐 연도 지금 소소치 내가 스트레스 오나스. 가때 대파 윤주 깨봐이나 하고서라 로소로마 된 레파테로 가테 대라 깨비 응마 소소 때 자야 돼 대라 깨비 슈 선바데 도고 저 맨로건 로건만데 빠져야 보시오.
So what this verse is saying in terms of the first two lines, if you take revenge upon having been harmed, how can this reverse the harm done? So what it is saying is, let's say that that person does something wrong to you. Then if you give an answer to that, if you do an action trying to seek revenge for that, is that really going to be able to erase the previous harm that you received from that person or not? So we're taking a look at that.
하고서라서 다 내가 지슈간에서 때요나요 제일 발레다다 때나 응마 소소로 용어 차와도 맨 로건들도 고지세지요 왔어.
So if by taking revenge, if by returning the harm, the initial harm that we experienced from that person could be erased, could be cleared away, then there might be a logical argument for why we need to take revenge.
하고서라서 다때 나저 야 릴라버린도 왔어. 얼레와 베제토네 따지잖아요. 대맨 로건만디와 왔어. somebody 대수기아레스.
However, and this is easy for us to think about if we use our critical faculties, we can see very easily that by taking revenge, we aren't able to clear away the initial harm. And then this is what the third line of the four-line verse begins to point at.
맨 로건 매이자 델은 무슨 델이나요? 가두리나요? 요다 모르려 아마도 된다. 요 말에 somebody 다시는 왔어.
So this third line, accordingly, revenge is useless for this life. We understand that by taking revenge, not only does it not remove the initial harm that we experience from that person, but in fact, probably what it will do is create more problems in the future for us.
하고서라와 타 개바치는 델레 마테네 단다 소소 파트 레레치는 데토바이나 아니 파쇼되고 손도야 보여나 요다 베트 좀만 줘야도 줘보 줘야도 소소 레레
So if we don't give an answer for the harm, if we actually stay back and stay relaxed, not seeking revenge, what we will see is that in many cases, actually, that person who harmed us, they will see some kind of the patience within us, and we will be able to actually improve the relationship and maybe even become friendly.
요다 그거 먼저나 무슨 델이나 요다 뉴르로야 하고서 와서 세바기보 그거요나 어디를 내가 대마제스.
So then if you want to have less problems in this life, not returning the harm, not taking revenge is a way to do that. And similarly, if you want happiness in this life, then not seeking to return harm is a way to achieve that.
하고서 와서 어다 시와 시마체도 시와 시마는 시마다 어다 든지 켈레케지나요. 시와 시마로 손을 떠나요. તને લે 두자 사야지도 디인데고 냐바지마도 요야매 이자 안에 이때 바로 요는 가완저 이때 바로서는 시와 시마는 봤어요.
And then so the last line it says and counterproductive with regard to the next life. So if we are somebody who is holding to past and future lifetimes, then we understand that by taking revenge, by giving an answer for the harm, we accumulate negative karma. And that negative karma can ripen in future lifetimes in terms of something unpleasant. So from this perspective, it is also counterproductive with regard to the next life.
어다 들리지 일단에서 뒤에 돈을 했더니 군도님이 가르가는데 다 대 지지부지보 말에 군도님에서 할 레위 자체뭐 어다 지고요 안에 제비페에서 돼 챈들이나 제비페 셔와리나 했더니 제비페 어다 간대요면 그냥 안주간대 다른 데서 뭐 자살했어.
So then, in terms of this verse, what it can do is it can help us to understand the disadvantages or the faults of anger in a brief way. Of course, there are also vaster and more detailed explanations of the benefits, of the disadvantages of anger. And similarly, based upon this verse, then we can understand the benefits of patience. Not only the benefits of patience from the perspective of this lifetime, but also the benefits of patience from the perspective of lifetime to lifetime in the future.
어떤 무슨 일이나요? 두보뭐 모두 던데 세이네 소소로 치라니까 뭐지야. 아니 발라요 생각 자체 뭐 기워지네 내가 더 그거나 아니 이니 mentioned 야 세빈요레스 야 그거요.
So if we are somebody who wants to be able to have harmonious relationships and many friends, if we are somebody who wants to be attractive to humans and who wants to be somebody that even animals trust, if we are somebody who wants to be able to have a vast mind in a relaxed state, then patience is definitely something which we should strive to cultivate. So you can see that if someone is very short-tempered, if somebody is constantly scolding others, that even animals can sense it. And when animals come towards an angry person, they're able to sense something, and often the dogs and the cats will avoid that person, take another road. And even somebody who is normally attractive, we can see that when somebody becomes like a very angry, then based upon their facial expression, based upon their body language, actually they very quickly can become somebody who people avoid because that anger makes our appearance unpleasant. So it is said that, in fact, if in this lifetime we are somebody who gets angry, and because of that anger we have this unpleasant expression, we mentioned that humans and even animals will avoid us, but also by engaging in this anger we create the cause to have an appearance like that in future lifetimes. On the other hand, if we practice patience, it is said that in the next life one will enjoy good health and a pleasant, an attractive, handsome, or beautiful appearance, and one will be somebody who is naturally attractive to all different types of sentient beings. And the Lamas also say that when we are in an angry state, when our mind is in an angry state, any sort of task that we set out to, any sort of decision that we make, it will definitely be a mistaken decision, a wrong task. So of course, in the instance when anger is arising, then it's difficult to immediately meditate upon the antidote of patience. But the trick is actually when one is in a relaxed state of mind to explore patience, to think about it, to use analytical meditation and so forth. Then, because our mind has become habituated or familiar with patience, we will be able to use it as an antidote when we are in the danger of getting angry. So because we have this human brain and this human intelligence, then definitely if we work hard in the right way, exploring these themes, we will be able to control and conquer our anger. We can think of the anger as being like a fire. When the fire is small, just a limited flame, if we are able to tackle it right away, we can get control of it before it gets bigger. So then, of course, this is a brief explanation and things to practice. And of course, we won't be able to practice these things right away successfully at the beginning. But if we kind of familiarize ourselves and practice, then slowly we will improve. And understanding the benefits, then with a happy mind, we should contemplate the faults of anger, the benefits of patience, and practice accordingly.
어다 세리도 더 얘네 간에요 벌써 손에 대바올래 용거려라 덴데포가 와셔야지 말해.
And similarly, when we look at the verse of Chandrakirti, we can understand what a great being he was. We can understand his great mind and intention, and in this way, we can think about his positive qualities and all of the praises to him.
야 뒤치라 이제.
So thank you very much. I'll end here.